ever heard of the story of how Zaya got El Septimo?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I tell you, I've thought about this story so many times. I was like, man, this guy would. Could you please explain the story for people? Because like I was so upset. This dude didn't talk about anything about his businesses at all when he was on my show.
Hey, can I tell you something?
Please.
This dude right here, man. The reason I came out here was just because of a phone call. We had been talking back and forth, texting and Zoom calls and stuff. But he just made a phone call. I was in Paris.
He wasn't planning to come here.
No. And he said, hey, man, I got something I want to talk to you about. He said, I want to show you something, man, that can be a legacy for your family. He didn't tell me what it was. He didn't tell me nothing. I got on the plane and came because this guy, if you know anything about him, he's spiritual. This guy he does what he says he's going to do. He is what he says he is. And he don't really tell you who he really is. You can get to Googling if you want to. You're going to be fascinated.
Right.
But this dude is just that kind of guy. And I've never heard a single person say, he cheated me, he stole from me, he ripped me off, he stepped on me to get where he is. I've heard not one single story. You don't get at this level, and nobody has those types of stories about you. Think about the famous rich people you know today.
Well, he hasn't met Kat yet, so we'll introduce them.
You're going to be on the podcast.
Now I don't know if I want to talk to this guy.
Could you please tell us the story about how you got the cigar when you were in the hotel room?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been smoking cigar for 40 years, and Steve's been smoking cigar for a long time, too.
28 years.
28 years, And it's interesting. It's a very consistent habit. I mean, when you talk to someone, I've been doing this habit for 28 years. I've been doing this habit for 40 years. I mean, it's pretty significant, right? Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, right? Because what it does to us, we don't do anything else that long, right? We don't do anything else. We don't eat that long. We don't drink that long, but we do this. And one day I was in Prague, and my wife wanted for us to be at Prague during a New Year because it's always snowing out there. It's nice and so forth. And there's always snow out there, except that year we were there. It just did not snow at all, right? So my wife said, well, we want snow. I said, well, listen, I'm close to God, but I don't think God's going to send snow out here for us in the next couple hours, And then I knew it meant a lot for her, for the kids. So I know the closest place to Prague is Berlin. You can go to Berlin in Germany. It's 2.5 hours of beautiful train ride, and you have plenty of snow in there. So I called a friend of mine who's the president of Dorchester Collection. I said, hey, you have a palace out there. I want some room in there. He says, great, I'll have somebody call you. So the general manager of the hotel called me, and he said, Mr. Younan, tomorrow's a New Year. You know that, right? I said, yeah. He says, well, after New York, Berlin is the second largest New Year party in the world. 4 million people come right outside of the hotel because of Brandenburg Gate, right? So they celebrate New Year there. He says, so we don't have any room. I said, look, I want 5 rooms, so call me back in 15 minutes, give me the room number, and I hang up on him. So shortly after he called me back, he says, I got your room, but you have to take 14 rooms. I said, 10 minutes ago, you had no rooms. Now you have 14 rooms. And he said, the royal family, King Abdullah, when he was alive, he passed away, him and his son took the entire floor of the hotel for them and for their family members and so forth. And when he inquired about it, he found out that his son is actually not coming in until after New Year. So he asked the people of the king, is that okay if I rent it? They said, well, if you rent it for one family, it's okay, right? But they have to take that entire section because you can't bring more people on the floor, right? So we went out there, and next morning I get up, I had a breakfast, and I love to smoke a cigar, right after breakfast or during the breakfast. So I told my wife, I said, let me go out there, just take a few puff, I'll be right up, right? And as I'm going out there, I see a entourage of people walking by, right? And I never take the card key for the rooms because I always knock, somebody opens it, right? So I said, shit, what am I going to do? I can't get inside. I don't want to get out of this thing. I said, I'm going to put my head down, he might think I'm some kind of bellboy or something. Pass by and I'll take the next elevator. Sure thing, he walks by me and people went away. I saw the king right in front of me. He said, Mr. Younan, your kids make a lot of noise at night. I said, Your Highness, I'm sorry. I'm blessed with 5 kids, so obviously they're healthy. They make noise. He says, Nah, I'm joking. You going down? I says, Yeah. He says, Let's go together. So we go to elevator together. It's me and him and a couple of his guys. And I have the cigar in my hand, but I'm holding it. I don't want him to see it, right? Because I knew he smoked cigar, but I just didn't. It was unpolite to do that. So he says to me, smoking a bad cigar is bad for you. I said, I know, but this is the best I can find. And he asked one of his guys to take it away from me. And I said, shit, I lost my cigars right now. And his other guy opened a box. He said, this is a cigar you should smoke. And he gave me El Septimo, 2 El Septimo, double shot. And that is actually Steve's favorite cigar right now.
Yeah.
Let's go for Kings, man.
Yeah, cigar
King
of the Kings,
Yeah,
right.
man.
So, King of the Comedy, right. So anyway, I went outside, and it was snowing cold, and I was wearing just a light jacket like this. But it was for a few minutes, right? And then I got mesmerized so much by this cigar. It just never happened to me, right? I mean, I can never eat a food that I say, oh my God, this is great food. I can never drink a drink that I say, oh my God, this is the greatest drink I ever had. It's nothing to me, right? But this cigar did something to me. As I'm smoking it, I suddenly noticed my wife screaming at me, are you crazy? You're outside? And I'm looking, I got snow all over me, and without realizing the time has gone by, right?
Yeah.
And so I knew I couldn't get a hold of a cigar, just to make the story short, right?
No, don't short it. This is a great story.
So then down the street is the oldest cigar store, 3-story cigar store, established 1711, right? And I buy cigars from them for the longest time. So I went to the guy, his name is Albert. I says, Albert, I want a couple boxes of this cigar, and I had one in my hand because he gave me 2. He looked at it, he said, where'd you get this? I said, why? He said, where'd you get this cigar? This cigar, people cannot get it. It's called Cigar for the Kings. Only King smoked a cigar. And he says, oh, it was the King Abdullah, because he knew he was there at the hotel, right? So I says, yeah. He says, give it to me. And he took it from me. And I said, well, give me a couple boxes. I said, you don't have any boxes, but I'll take the cigar from you. You can pick any cigar you want, Cuban, any cigars you want. But I'm going to keep this because I always wanted to smoke one, and I never smoked one.
By the way, terrible service for cigars.
So I didn't take any cigar from him, so I gave it to him. And I went to my room, and I'm wondering, I said, I'm going to get a hold of my hand of some of these cigars. And I walked into my room. My wife said, somebody dropped you this box. They drop off the box that it was full of El Septimo cigars, right? So anyway, we start smoking them, and there were a lot. There were 10 boxes. Each box had 20 cigars. So we start smoking it during our trip. We came home. We start smoking it. And I've been smoking with my wife since I married her, 34 years. We love smoking together.
Great woman, by the way.
Yeah, we talk about
so cool.
kids. We talk about life. It's a moment that we can reflect, and our soul is clean. We have patience. We talk. We listen to each other. And so we start smoking it. So one day we ran out of them, obviously. One day I'm walking outside with 2 cigars in my hand. My wife says, where's El Septimo? I said, well, I don't have El Septimo, but I have this great Cuban cigar. She says, no, I don't want to smoke it. I says, oh, come on, stop being bougie. I mean, Jesus Christ. We don't have that cigar, so what? Let's smoke this damn Cuban. That's supposed to be the best cigar on the board. She says, no, thank you. I'll pass. At that time, I realized there's something special about the cigar. I tried to buy it directly, but I could have never get any because they were pre-ordered for years by, royal family of Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, UAE. They only sell it for them, right? And one day I'm actually in Paris, right? And I asked my wife, I said, hey, I'm coming home. Do you want any cigars? And do you want anything? She says, no. I thought she was going to ask for a purse or something. She says, no. But if you want to bring me something, bring me some El Septimo cigar. I said, here it goes again, El Septimo cigar. So when we sat in the aircraft, I told the guy, I said, go to Geneva. He says, we can't go to Geneva if you don't have a tel number. Because when you travel, you have to have a tel number before you land, all right? They have to schedule the lands. I said,
This is rich boy stuff.
Yo, when he said this to me, I was saying, hey, man,
Charles.
by the way, I'm kind of, you shouldn't be saying this on the podcast.
Well, I will.
But you should do it because you can get away with it.
Not only that, because as Steve said, in this life, we are always afraid of one thing, Lord himself, no other human being. So I said to the guy, to the pilot, I says, get on the plane, go to Geneva, right in the air, do a SOS call. He said, I will never do that. I said, Well, why? You're on my payroll. Why do you care? He says, no, I will never do it. I will lose my license. I have to pay the fee. I said, take care of your fee. I will lose my license. I said, you sit home, you get your pay, and you don't have to fly anywhere, right? He says, okay, but this liability is on you. So anyway, we did the SOS call without any question. They said, land, and when you land, you do the SOS call, the technician comes in, you say, I saw this problem, either he finds it, he doesn't find it, right? So I went to the place that the head office of the cigar company was. I sat outside, I said, look for this guy, short guy, bald-headed guy, nothing personal, bald-headed guy. Wow. I said, as soon as he comes out,
I got drugged into the story.
I said, as soon as he comes out, bring him out here. The guy comes in, and one of my attorney, which is a French guy, for French, he's really tall. This guy is trying to bring this short guy to me, and he doesn't want to go. So I don't want to meet this American guy.
By the way, you skipped the fact that at the restaurant, he brought the table and service outside so he could watch when he comes out of the building.
Well, it was
like a psychopath.
It was December, and this is a 2 Michelin star restaurant in Geneva, right? So when we walked in, we said, that you couldn't see from the inside. I says, do you mind putting a table outside? He says, sir, this is not a Taco Bell. This is a Michelin star restaurant. No table outside. I said, call the owner. Owner came in, which was a chef. He knew who I was, so he immediately said, Mr. Younan, I want to put something. It's cold. I don't have any heat. I said, don't worry about it. Bring us some champagne. That will heat us up. So I want to sit outside. I didn't want to miss this guy, right? My wife never asked me for anything, right? Except this. I would say damn, but it's not a damn. It's a great cigar, right?
So, I love this guy so much.
No, honest to God, it's a great cigar. So anyway, the guy came in. I had a dinner with him. First, he didn't want to talk to us. He didn't want to associate with us. He thought that we were gang and we want to do something to this guy, right? We made him feel comfortable. I gave him a piece of paper. I says, tell me what you want. I want the cigar company. He wrote it down. We made a deal. I bought the company that night. I had some cash with me. I gave it to him. I said, just deposit. Tomorrow we're going to wire transfer the money, be sold. And then after we finish, midnight, I said, now let's go back to your office. He said, why? Office is closed. I said, my office should be open for me. I go upstairs.
Are you serious?
I go upstairs because there's a showroom in there.
Wait,
so I picked two boxes of every cigar. I told my guy, I says, cancel our flight. We'll fly tomorrow afternoon. Upgrade my room to a room that has a balcony. And I took like 80 boxes with me. I went to this room. I told the people, I says, don't call me for breakfast. Don't call me for lunch. I'll meet you at 4 o'clock. We're going to go to the airport, right? I opened the window. I laid all the cigar on the bed. I pulled them out. I touched them. I felt them. I smelled them. I looked at him, and I smoked from 1 a.m. to 4 p.m. the following day these cigars.
Oh my gosh.
And then when I went home, I got my wife what she wanted. El Septimo cigars.
Wow, that is a story.
That's the dopest story.
I mean, that's how I met. That's how I met Steve. Steve,
You waited outside of his house too. He goes, Steve, I want to talk to you.
Steve, one day.
But he bought the company.
Yeah.
That's what I want the cigar. No, I cannot sell. Okay, cool. Here go a check now. Open my office tomorrow. That's the story I'm living for.
That's so
Badass.
funny.
It reminds me a long time ago when I used to work for GM. I was the president of Oldsmobile division. I was talking to the chairman, Jack Smith, back then. And the chairman one day told me, he says, one of my dream is to buy Opel. I said, why would you want Opel? He says, Opel is very well respected European car, and they have a good market share. It's difficult for us to go establish ourselves out there. I said, oh, okay. I said, hey, by the way, I got to go to Germany next week. You need anything? He says, no. So I flew to Germany. I went to the Opel headquarters, right? Mm-hmm. So I went to the Opel headquarters. They knew who I was, so they let me in. I met the chairman, a German guy. I met the chairman. I said, we want to buy your company. He get up, he opened the door. He said, Mr. Younan, as American people say, get the fuck out of here.
No way.
I said, I will, but you got to listen to me. You have two choices. Choice number one, sell Opel to me. Or choice number two, I'm going to flood German market with our Chevy cars, and I'm going to price them half the price. I swear to you, you wouldn't sell a single goddamn Opel. I'll wait for a year and a half. Based on your balance sheet and your P&L, you go bankrupt exactly on the 13th month. At 13 months, I'm going to come take over your company. I have to pay a single penny for it, and you're going to lose your job. So you have a choice of selling it to me or selling it to me. Which one do you want? He closed the door. He came, he sat down. He says, you American, everything is with the force. I says, no, it's not with the force, it's with the love. But it comes forcefully, right?
Just a
so I
little
bought the
bit.
company anyway. That's the story with Opal.
Well, here's the moral to the story.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, one day I'm sitting in my office.
I got it for you.
He goes, Steve sometimes goes to this cigar lounge where he lives, right, in Atlanta, and he smokes a cigar. So this cigar shop owner always calls me, and I always ignore his calls, right? I mean, how much am I going to talk to this guy, right? So one day he calls me, I ignore me. He says, don't ignore me, you're going to pick up the phone. I have Steve Harvey here. He wants to tell you how much he loves your cigar. And I've never met Steve Harvey before that. And apparently Steve Harvey went in there. He gave Steve Harvey El Septimo cigar, and he says, try it. And Steve Harvey's been smoking cigar for a long time. He smoked the best of the best. He smoked the El Septimo, and he says, oh my God, this is a great cigar. And it was Zaya, Connecticut. And he says, I want to talk to this guy. Right? And that's your favorite cigar.
Yeah, it's my favorite cigar.
Ya, Connecticut.
Really?
Everybody, George Janko and Steve Harvey, El Septimo, Ya, Connecticut.
So here's the moral to this story. Guy, wife wants a cigar. He buys a cigar company. Then he walks in and he buys a car company. You don't think you need to try Christ?
Exactly.
You don't think you ought to give Christ a shot?
I don't know, man. When he speaks about God, he's like all like happy and loving. When he talks about business, he looks like De Niro. He goes,
I was thinking that.
Yeah, I told the guy, write it down. Your kid's in the van. You want to see a kid? Steve, you walked away from stand-up comedy, and the last special that